That's the time, according to sources close to the situation, when everything allegedly went left inside a federal correctional facility where Pooh Shiesty is currently serving time. Lights low, movement restricted, cameras rolling, but not everything seen. Now rewind the tape. Because what social media is saying happened in those early morning hours has fans shocked and the hip hop world asking serious questions. Unconfirmed reports suggest that an altercation took place involving individuals allegedly connected to Gucci Mane's extended circle. Let that sink in. Two names that were once publicly aligned: mentor and rising star. Industry cosign and street credibility all tied together. And now, people are divided. Some believe this was targeted. Others say it's just prison politics being exaggerated online. Nothing is confirmed yet, but here's what nobody is telling you. In environments like this, things don't just randomly happen. Every move, every interaction, every alliance, it all means something. And when a name like Pooh Shiesty is involved, people start connecting dots fast. Sources close to the situation say there may have been tensions building behind the scenes long before this alleged incident. But again, nothing is confirmed. So the question becomes, was this really an isolated situation inside a jail? Or is there something deeper going on? Something tied to power, loyalty, and the business side of hip hop that most people never see? Because when you follow the timeline, things start to look very different. To understand how a situation like this even becomes possible, you have to rewind the tape and go back to the rise of Pooh Shiesty, a name that didn't just appear in hip hop but exploded into it. Around 2020, coming out of Memphis, Tennessee, his energy, delivery, and street-rooted storytelling caught attention fast. But here's what nobody is telling you. The rise wasn't just organic talent meeting opportunity, it was alignment. Strategic alignment. Because early on, Pooh Shiesty became closely associated with Gucci Mane, one of the most influential figures in Southern hip hop and the founder of 1017 Records. That connection changed everything. Think about the timeline. In early 2021, Pooh Shiesty dropped Shiesty Season, and it debuted strong on the charts. Industry backing, cosigns, and visibility were all there. But with that kind of fast rise also comes pressure. Pressure from the streets, and pressure from the industry, and pressure from the expectations that come with being tied to a major figure like Gucci Mane. Fans saw the music, the chains, the success. What they didn't see were the layers behind it, the business relationships, the loyalties, and the tensions that can quietly build when power, money, and reputation are all involved. At the same time, legal trouble began to enter the picture. According to court documents, incidents tied to 2020 and 2021 started catching up with Pooh Shiesty. Prosecutors allege involvement in a robbery case in Florida, and that case would later become a major turning point in his life. Now, it's important to be clear. Legal systems work on evidence, not assumptions. And in this case, paperwork shows charges, negotiations, and eventually a plea deal that resulted in a federal sentence. But here's where things get deeper. Once someone enters the federal prison system, everything changes. The environment, the alliances, the risks, it's a completely different world. Sources close to the situation say that when high-profile artists enter incarceration, they don't just carry their name, they carry their affiliations. And that's where things can become complicated, because affiliations in the music industry don't always translate cleanly into prison dynamics. Fans believe that relationships, past tensions, and perceived alliances can take on new meanings behind bars. Nothing is confirmed about specific conflicts, But the idea that outside relationships can influence inside situations is something people continue to talk about. Now bring Gucci Mane back into the picture. As a label head, when he has signed multiple artists over the years, building a roster that has seen both success and controversy. The industry angle here matters because when artists rise quickly under a powerful brand, expectations and internal dynamics can shift just as quickly. Some people think everything stays solid. Others believe tensions can exist beneath the surface, especially when careers, money, and public perception are involved. Again, nothing is confirmed, but fans are always watching, always connecting dots. There's also a human side to this that often gets overlooked. Behind the headlines, behind the music, there's a person navigating real consequences. Families are involved. Mothers, siblings, loved ones, people who aren't part of the spotlight but feel every impact of what happens. Around the time of Pooh Shiesty's legal proceedings, and emotional reactions from supporters were visible across social media. Posts expressing hope, frustration, and prayer circulated widely. Emotions ran high, and you could feel that this wasn't just about a rapper, it was about someone's son, someone's future. And here's where the story starts to shift, because once incarceration begins, the narrative changes from public image to survival, from industry politics to real world consequences. According to sources, prison environments are structured but unpredictable. There are rules, but there are also unspoken dynamics that outsiders don't always understand. Social media is saying that any connection, whether real or perceived, can carry weight in that setting. And when you combine a high profile name, past affiliations, and ongoing speculation, it creates a situation where tension can build quietly before anything becomes public. So before we even get to what allegedly happened inside, think about everything leading up to it. The rise, the cosign, the legal case, the sentence, and the environment. Let that sink in, because none of this exists in isolation. Every piece connects. Every moment builds on the last. And when you follow the timeline closely, it becomes clear that the foundation for this situation was being laid long before anyone outside ever heard about it. Now take everything from before, the rise, the affiliations, the legal case, and rewind the tape to the moment where everything reportedly shifts. We're no longer talking about the outside world. We're inside a federal facility sometime after Pooh Shiesty began serving his sentence. Exact dates and internal reports are not publicly confirmed, but according to sources and unconfirmed reports circulating online, an incident allegedly took place that quickly caught attention beyond prison walls. Here's what social media is saying. Allegedly, there was a confrontation inside the facility involving individuals described by some as having ties, direct or indirect, to circles connected with Gucci Mane. Now, it's important to pause right here. Nothing is confirmed. No official report has publicly verified identities or motives. But the story began spreading fast, and once it hit the internet, it didn't slow down. Think about the timeline. First, whispers started appearing on platforms like Twitter and Instagram. Small accounts posting vague messages like, "Something went down behind the walls." Then came more detailed claims. Fans believe the situation escalated from a disagreement, possibly verbal, into something physical. Again, these are allegations, but the consistency in how the story spread made people start paying attention. Now here's where the evidence layering comes in. According to unconfirmed reports, internal prison movements, like scheduled yard time and housing unit transfers, may have played a role. In federal facilities, inmates are often moved based on classification, behavior, or administrative decisions. Sources close to the situation say that even small changes, like who shares a space or who crosses paths during recreation, can create tension. Follow the paperwork, or at least what we can understand from it. Federal institutions keep incident reports. These are documents that record altercations, medical visits, or disciplinary actions. But while no official document tied directly to this specific incident has been publicly released, fans are pointing to the possibility that such paperwork exists behind the scenes. And if it does, it would outline key details: time, location, and individuals involved. Now imagine the scene based on what people are saying: a controlled environment, limited movement, multiple individuals in close proximity. According to social media, voices raised, a disagreement that didn't stay verbal, and then, allegedly, physical contact. Some accounts claim it was brief, others suggest it was more serious, but again, nothing is confirmed, and that distinction matters. At the same time, reports began circulating that medical staff may have been involved afterward. In federal facilities, any physical altercation usually leads to evaluation, checking for injuries, documenting conditions. But without verified records, this remains part of the speculation. Now shift to the legal angle. If an incident like this did occur, it could trigger internal disciplinary action. That might include segregation, loss of privileges, or additional review. But unless charges are filed or documents released, it stays within the system, unseen by the public. And this is where things get complicated. Because outside the prison, the narrative took on a life of its own. Social media is going crazy. Fans are shocked. People are divided. Some believe the alleged involvement of individuals connected to certain affiliations means there's something deeper going on. Others are pushing back, saying this is exactly how rumors spread, taking incomplete information and building a full story around it. One post that went viral read, "This ain't random. Think about who he's tied to." Another replied, "Y'all don't even know if this is real. Stop running with it." That tension between belief and skepticism is what defines this moment. Now bring the emotional layer back in. For fans who have followed Pooh Shiesty's journey from the beginning, hearing about something like this, whether confirmed or not, hits differently. It shifts the conversation from music to safety, from success to survival, and you can feel that shift in the comments, in the reactions, in the tone. And here's what nobody is telling you. In situations like this, the truth often exists in fragments. Some parts documented, some parts spoken, some parts misunderstood. And until official information surfaces, everything lives in that space between possibility and proof. So now we're left with a moment, an alleged incident, a wave of reactions, and a growing question. What actually happened behind those walls? And why is this story spreading the way it is? Now take everything we just walked through: the alleged moment inside the facility, the uncertainty, the lack of confirmed paperwork, and look at what happened next. Because this is where the story shifts from an isolated incident into something much heavier. The fallout didn't stay contained, it spilled out fast. Social media is going crazy, and the reactions are no longer just about what happened, they're about what it means. Fans are shocked, and you can feel the tone changing from curiosity to concern, because now people aren't just asking questions about an incident, they're thinking about the person at the center of it. Pooh Shiesty is no longer just a name tied to music or even a legal case. In this moment, he becomes someone people are picturing inside a system that most of them will never fully understand. And that human element, it hits hard. You start seeing emotional posts, comments like, "He's still somebody's son," prayers up no matter what's true. Hope he good in there. Let that sink in. Because behind every headline, there's a real life impact. Families watching, friends trying to make sense of what they're hearing. And in situations like this, information doesn't always reach them clearly. Sources close to the situation say that loved ones often hear rumors the same time the public does, or sometimes even later. Now imagine that. You're scrolling and suddenly you see your loved one's name trending, tied to something you can't verify. That's the emotional cost people don't talk about enough. At the same time, the industry side starts reacting, but quietly. No official statements, no direct confirmations, but fans are watching closely. Every post, every like, every absence of a response. Because in hip hop, silence can mean a lot of different things. Now bring Gucci Mane back into the conversation, not through confirmation, but through perception. Because that's what's driving this narrative. Social media is saying there may be connections between individuals involved and broader affiliations. Again, nothing is confirmed. But once a name like that enters the discussion, the story naturally expands. Fans begin asking deeper questions. Is this connected to past relationships? Is there tension we never saw? Or is this just coincidence being turned into something bigger? People are divided. One side believes this is part of a larger story, something tied to loyalty, power, and how relationships evolve in the industry. The other side is pushing back hard, saying this is exactly how misinformation spreads. Taking a rumor, attaching a big name, and watching it grow. And both sides have a point, because here's the legal reality. Until there are verified reports, incident documentation, official statements, or court filings, this remains unconfirmed. In legal terms, allegations without evidence are not facts, and that distinction matters, especially in situations involving real people and real consequences. But here's where it gets deeper. Even without confirmation, narratives can still affect everything: reputation, future opportunities, public perception. And for someone already navigating incarceration, those narratives can carry weight. Now shift back to the emotional side again. Fans are revisiting old clips, old interviews, old music, looking for signs, messages, anything that feels like it connects to what's happening now. One fan posted a clip of Pooh Shiesty saying, "I just want to make it out and take care of my people." That line is being reshared everywhere because now it feels different. It feels heavier, and this is how stories evolve, not just through facts, but through feelings, through interpretation, through the way people connect past and present. Meanwhile, the lack of clarity continues to drive everything forward. No confirmed details, no official timeline, as just fragments, some possibly real, some possibly not, all being pieced together in real time. And here's what nobody is telling you. In situations like this, the truth doesn't always come out all at once. Sometimes it comes in layers, sometimes it stays buried, and sometimes what people believe becomes more powerful than what actually happened. So now we're left in this space where the alleged moment inside the facility has turned into a much bigger conversation about safety, about loyalty, about how quickly narratives form when information is incomplete, and most importantly, about the real human being at the center of it all. Now zoom out and really think about everything we've just walked through. The rise, the alleged moment inside the facility, and the emotional fallout that followed. Because this is where the story stops being just about Pooh Shiesty and starts becoming something bigger, about the culture itself. Here's what nobody is telling you. Situations like this don't just happen in isolation. They sit at the intersection of music, street credibility, and the justice system. And when those three worlds collide, the lines between fact, perception, and narrative get blurry fast. Let that sink in. Think about the pattern. An artist rises quickly, gains industry backing, builds a name, and then legal issues interrupt that momentum. Once incarceration becomes part of the story, everything shifts. The artist is no longer just a public figure. They're now navigating a completely different environment, one that most fans don't fully understand but feel deeply connected to. Now add social media into that equation. On information spreads instantly. Verification comes later, if it comes at all. And in that gap, narratives grow. That's exactly what we're seeing here. An alleged incident, no confirmed paperwork, no official statement. Yet the story has already traveled across platforms, picked up layers, and turned into something much bigger than its original form. Fans are shocked. Social media is going crazy. People are divided. But ask yourself, why does this kind of story hit so hard? Because it touches on something real. The idea that success in hip hop doesn't always remove someone from the realities they came from. The idea that industry power, labels, cosigns, affiliations can only go so far once someone is inside the system. And that's where the power angle becomes important. When Gucci Mane's name enters the conversation, even indirectly, it brings up questions about influence, not confirmed actions, not verified involvement, but perception. Fans start asking whether industry relationships hold weight in environments where different rules apply. Some believe they do. Others believe everything resets once someone is inside. And that's a question nobody can fully answer from the outside. Now think about the business side. Even while incarcerated, an artist's career doesn't stop completely. Streaming continues. Music gets replayed. The brand still exists. But narratives, especially negative or uncertain ones, can shape how that brand is viewed moving forward. Labels pay attention to perception, fans respond to emotion, and in today's digital world, both can shift quickly. But here's the deeper layer. Well, then this situation also reveals how quickly people build conclusions without full information. One report, unconfirmed, turns into a theory. That theory turns into a narrative. And before long, that narrative feels like truth, even when nothing is confirmed. That's the cycle, and it's happening in real time. Now go back to the emotional side we talked about earlier. The family, the fans, the people watching this unfold without knowing what's real. For them, this isn't just content, it's personal. Every rumor feels like it could matter. Every update feels urgent, and that emotional investment is what keeps stories like this alive. But at the same time, there's a responsibility to separate what's verified from what's being assumed. Because without that separation, the story becomes something else entirely, something driven more by perception than by fact. So, where does that leave us? We have an alleged incident, we have no confirmed documentation, we have a narrative spreading fast, and we have a culture reacting in real time. And maybe the biggest question isn't just about what happened inside that facility. Maybe it's about how stories like this are created, shaped, and believed before the truth ever has a chance to fully come out. Because when you follow the timeline closely, when you look at how quickly everything moved, one thing becomes clear. This isn't just a story about one moment. It's a story about how moments become narratives and how narratives can take on a life of their own. So now we're standing right in the middle of it all, an alleged incident. No confirmed reports on a story that spread faster than facts could catch up. And if you really think about everything we just broke down, the rise, the environment, the moment, the fallout, and the bigger picture, it leaves us with more questions than answers. Fans are shocked. Social media is going crazy. People are divided. Some believe there's something deeper behind the situation, something tied to past affiliations, industry relationships, and how power really works behind the scenes. Others are saying this is exactly how rumors take over, one unconfirmed story turning into a full narrative without real proof. And the truth? Nothing is confirmed, but the impact is very real. Because whether this happened exactly the way people are saying or not, the conversation has already taken on a life of its own. And now, it comes down to you. What do you think really happened? Do you believe this was just a situation inside a controlled environment that got exaggerated online? Or do you think there's something bigger going on that hasn't fully come out yet? And what about the industry angle? Do you think outside affiliations and relationships can actually influence what happens inside? Or does everything reset once someone is behind those walls? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's really talk about this. And if you want more breakdowns like this, where we go deeper than headlines, separate facts from speculation, and really follow the timeline, make sure you like the video, subscribe, and stay locked in. Because stories like this, they don't end when the conversation starts. Sometimes, that's just the beginning.